Hello everyone, my name is Horacio and today we're gonna see how we're gonna refactor a CSS or a JavaScript slider into a CSS only slider with a new scroll snap. Well, it's not that new, but now it's a little bit more supported. So let's dive into it. So here, I don't know if you saw this. This is the last Chrome Dev Summit. There was a talk from these two amazing guys that they show a bunch of new CSS techniques and features. And one of the most impressive features for me, at least, was this scroll snap feature that CSS has already. So now what I'm gonna show you actually is how to refactor one JavaScript slider to the CSS slider, and then you can compare not only how much code you're using, but also the behavior that you're getting, right? Because it's a little bit different, and you need to see the pros and cons about it. So so here I prepared this slider. You see if I go to the index, it's just a slider component in React. But you can use this in any other framework or library or whatever you're using, because it's fairly the same, because it's just CSS. So that's the cool thing. So here you have this slider. You can just go and you have some arrows here that I don't know why it's not visible, but yeah, you have the arrows, and it's in infinite because you see the settings here that I'm passing to this slider are infinite true. I want the dots, also one slide to show per slides, and also the scroll is only one by one. So pretty simple slider, and you see there are three images, there are three slides, and both three are just infinite, and that's pretty simple. So this is using React Slick from Slick Carousel, the actual JavaScript library. But now we're gonna start deleting code, and you see that here the CSS is only to display the image properly, and that's it. But let's start with this. Let's just remove these two things, because that's part of the library. Of course it's gonna fail. And also now I don't need these settings, because there's not gonna be any settings, just CSS. So here what I'm gonna change is this to a div with a class name of slider. And then if I go here, I just change that to div, and everything is working, but now we lose the slider, of course. So now let's just implement that. So instead of just adding this, I'm gonna add a code that I have, a snippet that I have already here. And also let me just delete this. And now you see that there's another behavior, but let's talk a little bit. No, actually, let me just show you the result. So you see that I'm scrolling, but it's snapping to different parts. Also, another thing that you can see is that there's no infinite slider here. So those are things that you need to consider before you move or refactor to your new slide. Okay, so this is now everything controlled by CSS, and you see that the only thing that we add are these lines of code of CSS to make it work. The HTML stays the same. Actually, I removed a bunch of things here. I removed a CSS that is coming with the library. I removed also the import, so there's no dependency of other library out there. I removed a little bit of complexity here. You need some settings to pass that to that library. So there's nothing, only CSS, and that's super cool, because you don't rely on too much code or extra code in your library. That means that you're gonna ship less code, it's gonna be faster. Also, you're gonna give a pretty decent result, a pretty decent behavior or experience than using all the other code over there. So So yeah, the important things are here. So if these are the most important CSS attributes that I'm adding. If I take out this and also this too, you see that here I'm still having like a slider, but it's not snapping. Okay, so this is something that you need to take in consideration. I'm using the grid the grid layout to display the items as I want them. So you need to use whatever display or whatever order you want to in order to display the items the way that you want. So if it says horizontal slider, you need to do something like this, or maybe you use flexbox. If it's a vertical slider, there's another way to set up the actual state of the slide, and then you can add these two lines. These are like the most basic way to add a horizontal slide, and you get the result. You get snapping. You see that I cannot move to another place if it's not the actual slide or the item in this case. So yeah, I have this slider and this slide just to make sure you understand. Like there's the slider and the children are the slide. Okay, so that's why I have this slide here, and I'm telling that to snap to the start. You can have also snap to center, and then this will change a little bit because now the snapping goes to the center of the element and not the end. Of course, when it comes to the final elements, it's gonna be still until the center. Actually, I thought it was going to, because you see that I have a little bit of scroll left here, but the snapping goes to the center of the image, and that's super cool. That depends on what's the behavior that you want to get, right? So yeah, I talk about support. So you see here that the support is fairly like green. Most of the browsers already support this. The only caveat though is that here I also prepared, and I'm gonna put this link in the description. I prepared a comparison between both the JavaScript version and the CSS version. So you see that I have here the JavaScript version that it's infinite, and also the CSS version that is snapping. Okay, so one thing that I found that I prefer this version, the CSS version, because of the amount of code that I deleted and how simple it is. But to be honest, also if the experience that I want to give to my user is something like this, that it's infinite, that I want to just go like from the start to the end and doesn't stop, then that's something that I haven't found how to do it with the CSS version. So you need to consider that. And also another thing that is easier with the JavaScript version, if we go, and let's just go to here, yes. If we go to the code and then I go to the JavaScript version, you see that you have the settings here. So if you want, I don't know, you want to show 2 slides for show, unfreeze, yeah, because I freeze it. So you see it that it's simpler to just move that. Here maybe it's not that simple. You see that now I need to rearrange things and maybe do some other stuff. So yeah, that's something. Actually, let me just go to the CSS version. Maybe I just yeah, this is good. Yeah, there's some things that you need to consider in order to achieve the same behavior. So yeah, I think that's it. That's the video that I wanted to do. I'm gonna put again the link in the description. I'm gonna freeze this again because that's how you can then clone it and do whatever you want. And yeah, actually let me just put this to 1, and that's it. Hope you like this video, and if you have any questions, please link it in the description, and and let me know if you like it, or share it or whatever. Okay, so thanks, bye.